Imagine you went to a bike show and there were no bikes. Hi, I'm John and welcome to Cycling on a Shoestring, and today I'm going to do a follow-up on my video, I think e-bikes are a problem. By the way, I still think they're a problem, and I think it's worse than just a week ago when I put that video up. Now, well more than 3,000 people have watched that video, which is a lot for a small channel like me. 200 or so comments and growing. I get notifications every day, people commenting on that video. Most people have been respectful. Nobody really called me any bad names, which is great. Some people had some good points, others not so good. We're going to look at a few of those today, okay? We'll just look through a few of them. But I wanted to tell you why I started off this video today with, what if you went to a bike show and no bikes were there, okay? And there were no bikes. Well, that's because of what happened this past weekend. I am part of a cycling organization here in the city, and we talk to kids about getting out and living a healthy lifestyle riding bikes. So we had a booth at the Alberta Bike Show at the BMO Centre in downtown Calgary on the weekend, and I was there for 4 hours on Saturday morning. And other than the bikes that were in our booth and the young kids they hired to show tricks on BMX bikes, I didn't see another bike in the whole bike show. They were all electric bicycles, all of them. And I've been doing home shows and whatnot for years. I did in my previous life about 40 of them, 2 a year for 20 years. And I'm very good at chatting with people. So I would ask them what they thought of the show, and they say they were disappointed because they came out with their child to find a bicycle and there weren't any. So I think there is a crisis in the cycling industry. There's a crisis in cycling, and it's reinforced even more than when I did that original video. There is a problem here, folks, because I'm going to tell you right off the bat. What is a bicycle? It's a two-wheeled vehicle that is self-propelled. E-bikes are not bicycles, so let's get that straight. Now let's take a look at some of the comments I got, and I can give you some replies to those comments as well, and tell you what I think about the points that people were making about my video. Okay, our first comment, and please excuse me, I'm looking down at the screens to read these, but we'll run through these and I'll try not to take too much time on each one. A test 40323 said, nice rant. As a licensed motorcyclist who rides analog bikes, I see the same thing, but my angle is education. Children should be taught in school on rules of the road like Dutch children. And I agree with that 100%. I think I may have replied to this one or a similar comment. I find it fascinating that, you have to obey the rules of the road. Now here in Canada, at 16, you begin to learn the rules of the road and you can start driving. But you can start riding a bike when you're 4 or 5 years old. And if you're on the road, you have to obey the rules of the road. But we don't teach kids the proper rules. Education, certainly when it comes to bike paths as well. And I think more education now that more people are riding e-bikes and don't have any experience riding regular bikes. Thanks for the comment. Up next, I hear what you're saying, but in your description of the accident, that could have just as easily happened if a person on a regular old fat bike decided to brake hard in front of you. I'm in agreement in that if the bike has an accelerator, it's no longer a bicycle, and those should not be on bike paths, bike trails, or bike lanes. Pedal assist is different. Yeah, so as far as somebody doing it on a regular old fat bike, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Like, I'm not in disagreement with a lot of the comments that came in with me. Education is an important part of being responsible on a bicycle, as well as an e-bicycle. And I'm not seeing a lot of respect out there when it comes to people riding e-bikes. And it's a growing number of people, so I think it's dangerous. And here's the thing, I may have to get into this again later. I've been reading a lot about e-bikes in other countries, and legislation is coming in on e-bikes, because it's an issue in other cities as well. I'm not the only person talking about this. And if you don't start obeying the rules, you're going to get legislation and you're not going to like it. Trust me. They may even start licensing the things. And I'm not necessarily in agreement with that either. Coming up next, what do we got here from Chewy3212? Hi, John. I live near some stretches of large hills. I thought about buying an e-bike to make these hills more tolerable and pulled the trigger, sitting in traffic for 40 minutes for a 4-mile drive. drive. It was a Class 1 pedal assist e-bike, and I try using the assistance as little as possible. I think, you know, using it in an area that is very hilly. Where I live, I'm in southeast Calgary, pretty flat, but we have a park not too far from here with very steep hills to get in and out of called Fish Creek Park, and it's very hard for people who aren't good on bikes to get in and out of the park. They end up pushing them, or it just discourages them from riding. I do believe there's a reason to have these things, okay? But I just want people to be more responsible. Enjoy your bike, and you know, if you're sitting in traffic and there's a way to get to work better, an e-bike might be the thing for you, but I prefer if you took a regular bicycle. That's been my point all along. It's better for you. Okay, up next. Sorry for your accident. One, I agree that bike products and prices are way overpriced for the average rider. I was not aware that e-bikes were relatively inexpensive, so appreciate your viewpoint there. Second, totally agree with your viewpoint regarding the hazards of e-bike operators. I don't know what the solution is, e.g. licensing, and I don't know what it said after that, but I don't believe in licensing. I don't want to license people. I don't want people to license me on my bicycle, and people have suggested it in the past, and all that is government trying to get more money out of your pocket. If they license you, there'll never be a police officer pulling you over. They got better things to do. So I don't believe in licensing. City I used to live in a long time ago, I used to fix up old bikes and give them away, and on occasion I get an old bike in and had a license on them because you used to have to pay for a license. I don't believe in licensing. Okay, I highlighted something in this one right here, and this is something I heard from a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to read just down to the end of the blue part here. This is from Ride 770 MTB. You need to specify which class e-bike you're talking about up front. You mentioned a throttle e-bike near the end, but I'm assuming you're talking about all of them. I ride a Class 1 e-bike pedal assist with maximum 20 miles per hour. That's about 35K. Okay, which is pretty fast on a bicycle if you've ever ridden one. If you ban those, ban elite riders too. I can't keep up with my 13-year-old son while I'm on my e-bike and he's on a Scott Spark. I do not want to ban e-bikes, and a lot of people thought I was wanting to ban e-bikes. I don't want to ban e-bikes. Not at all. I never said that in my video. Now, as far as you keeping up with your son on his Scott Spark, I'm glad he can outrun you on your e-bike. Good for him. He's riding a bicycle, and I think kids should be riding bicycles, not e-bikes. Up next, what do we got here? Been a cyclist all my life. Started with MTBs and road bikes in the 80s. I rode manically and religiously for decades. I had hip replacement 6 years ago and had lost my love for riding. Then I built up a sweet Kona Hanzo hardtail do-it-yourself e-bike. So awesome. I'm back in love with riding. E-bikes offer all the joy, mental health, and moderate cardio with none of the misery and suffering inherent with hill climbs. Don't malign e-bikes or e-bike riders. I'm not maligning e-bikes. I'm thinking that we need to get more people riding regular bicycles. I go back, here's a picture right here. This is from 2002. This is me out trying to get people interested in riding bicycles. Now, e-bikes weren't a thing back then, but I've been doing this for a long time. I'm doing it right now. It's what I do. It's a part-time. I go out and talk to kids about riding bicycles. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not maligning e-bike riders, just the ones who are irresponsible. Thank you very much for the comment. I do thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Argyle 302, dang, I thought you had some footage to show. Sorry, I didn't have footage, and you know, I often run a GoPro, but I didn't have it that day. I was just out riding with my friend Andre, and I got hurt. Bottom line is, you can have a-holes on any type of bike, scooter or skateboard. I agree. They're out there. I could have done, I hate scooters, e-scooters. I hate them too. What I really hate is I hate retractable dog leashes. I almost got killed yesterday by one of those. Last year in the north, I ran over a dog. I could get into that story later, but the guy wasn't paying attention, let his dog run on a retractable leash in front of me. All kinds of things that bother me out there. In fact, I did a video about what I dislike about bike riding, and I'll put a link in the description so you can go check that out. It's not about what type of bike they're riding, it's about the person that is riding the bike and their behavior. I've been on our bike hike and had crazy riders recklessly zoom by me on just regular bikes. But that's just and he just peters out after that. I agree, people can be irresponsible on regular bicycles as well. Don't disagree with you at all on that. Okay, up next, e-bikes are not the problem, it's some of the people riding them that are the issue. Here in the UK, there are quite strict restrictions, okay? Restrictions are coming to your city if they don't have them, and I think the city of Calgary, where I live, is looking into that right now. In fact, I sent a message in to a councillor or something last year. I looked for the email, couldn't find it. And he said, yeah, they're looking at this right now because they're getting a lot of people complaining about the e-bikes out there. And it's not an old man syndrome. People said it's like me yelling, get off the lawn. It's not. They're everywhere, and they're very prevalent in Calgary where we do have some steep hills. And people are irresponsible, and that word you're going to hear a lot as we look at these comments. Okay, I pretty much abandoned riding on multi-use trails long ago. I routinely ride just below 20 miles per hour, which is just too fast for trails, 35K. There are too many families, kids, animals, and now e-bikers on trails, and they have a right to use the trails. So I ride on the roads where I can go as fast as I want and hope the cars stay away from me. I made that comment in my original video. I feel safer on the road. Now, I went out for a ride yesterday, not thinking I would see many people on the bike path. It was a beautiful day, but it was early. In the section of bike path I went on, there were people everywhere. And I was dodging people all day long. And now I expect that if I go on the bike trail. But generally, yesterday I came home from my job, I took the roads the whole way because I just want to avoid the bike paths. They're just not any fun anymore. And they're really dangerous for cyclists. They really are. All right, after riding bikes all my life, and I just bought an Aventon Adventure 2, it came with an extra battery included, normally $500 edition for a total of $2,000 delivered with both batteries. It has an 80-mile range without pedaling and more range the more you pedal. It weighs 75 pounds and has 4-inch wide tires. It's a beast. Yeah, is that a bicycle? A 75-pound bicycle? You know, the bike right here, this is an old one. I've had this since 2010. Weighs 18 pounds. If you're riding a 75-pound bike and you hit somebody on that doing 20 miles per hour, as many people say, 35K an hour, you can kill them. I just read an article recently. They banned e-bikes in, I can't remember the city, but some guy on an e-bike took out a woman on a bicycle, and they banned them for a short period until they can figure out what the hell they're going to do about these e-bikes, which are not bicycles. Again, I'll reiterate that. Okay, so what is this one? Okay, I'm going to read the blue part at the bottom here. People with very little cycling experience riding heavy bikes can now easily attain speeds hitherto reserved for fit, experienced cyclists who learned how to handle bikes after many miles and years of cycling. Great point. I think a lot of these new e-bike riders are going to learn through painful experience how hard and abrasive asphalt is and how inattentive and inconsiderate motorists can be. At 71, having started riding derailleur-equipped bikes over 55 years ago, and having taken many long rides and having commuted by bike for years, I'm not encouraged by this trend. I agree with your view on this subject. First of all, he's absolutely right. Somebody who's been riding bikes for a long time has a lot of skills on a bike. I remember riding near my old town in eastern Ontario and coming along a bike trail, and this muskrat ran across and I bunny hopped it, probably doing about 35K an hour on an open stretch of bike path, and I bunny hopped over, or I probably would have killed myself. Now, the other thing I want to say about this, at 71, here's a guy who's still riding a bike. Quick story, a couple of years back, and if you've watched my channel at all, I've got some ride videos up of riding over Highwood Pass. Highwood Pass is the highest road crossing in the Canadian Rockies. 2,206 meters, 7,239 feet. I've been there dozens of times. So anyway, I'm just starting up the climb, right at the bottom, and I come across two guys riding, young guy and an older guy, and I stopped and I said, nice day, great day for a bike ride, and the man started talking to me, and I remember his name because it's John, and my name's John. And after a while, I'm watching this man ride a regular bicycle up this grade, and I'm looking at him going, yeah, he's a little bit older than most of the people out here. So I said to him, how old are you, John? And he said, I'm 71 years old, riding a road bike up Highwood Pass. 16K, pretty much all of it uphill. And it gets pretty steep with the grade as you get closer to the top. Meanwhile, a bunch of 20-somethings are cruising by us on e-bikes. Good for John, and I hope I'm doing the same when I'm 71. Okay, up next. I'm sorry you were hurt. I can definitely see the emotion you felt after your accident. It must have been very scary. I'll start by saying I'm 52 years old and I ride a Trek e-bike. I love cycling, but my bum knee made it difficult to climb some of the harder hills in Calgary. E-biking has allowed me to get back outside, and my husband and I can ride together and both enjoy ourselves. So a couple of points here. I understand where you're coming from. I think I said in my video originally, I think they've got a place, e-bikes. You know, people have physical disabilities. I'm not saying you have a physical disability because you have a bum knee. I suppose you do in a way. So yeah, you can't ride a bike because you got a sore knee. Certainly an e-bike is going to help you get out there. Now, as far as riding you with your wife, let me put it to you this way. I'll be very clear how much I don't just hate e-bikes. I'm just concerned about the cycling industry. My wife has a bike, but she can't ride with me. When she goes out on a bike ride, she'll go less than 10K, and for me, that's not worth pumping up the tires and taking it down off the wall. I do it, but I'm home within half an hour. When I go out bike riding, I go much farther. So I have actually considered buying my wife an e-bike because she cannot ride the hills. She gets frustrated with me when we ride. I get frustrated with her when we ride because we're not compatible at all. So I've thought about buying an e-bike, but I'll bet you, and I will tell you, we will ride responsibly. When she's on a bike, they can go up to 35K an hour. And again, I'm not against e-bikes, or I do not want to ban them. All I can hear is, you kids get off my lawn. I mentioned that earlier. What you're going to find out is stupid is everywhere. Yeah, I agree with that. If it wasn't the guy in the e-bike, it would have been the walker or runner blasting music that just decides to change direction on the path without looking and can't hear you coming. You can't fix stupid, so you just have to be prepared to run into it every once in a while. I agree with you 100%. You know, I did a video, and I mentioned it earlier, things I hate while riding my bike, and I'll put the link to that, and those are all in there. You know, people wearing noise-canceling headphones, walking, people staring at phones. There's all sorts of stuff. Drive me nuts. I'm not being get off my lawn guy. I'm not being that. This is irresponsible. It's dangerous. And I slow down, and they walk in front of you. Or yesterday, it was one of those retractable leashes. The woman's got her dog over there. She's over here, and this leash is across the pathway. If I haven't got good eyesight, I run right through and kill her dog, and I go flat on my face, and I'm in the hospital. At least I could sue her. Okay, one more here. A couple of key points. E-bikes are the fastest growth in transportation worldwide. They are energy efficient and reduce the use of cars for short distance travel. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this, and I might get a little bit political on this one. People say they're energy efficient. I think I commented on this one. Do you really think plugging more and more stuff into the grid is energy efficient? Do you really think? My bike does not require any batteries. It doesn't. I get on it and I ride. Now it did manufacture, and we have to remember that, manufacturing of your bicycle has a imprint on our environment. It does. What do you think your electric bike does? Do you ever think about that? It's not energy efficient. Everything plugs in. Phones, tablets. I've got socks I can plug in. And all that goes onto the grid. Now your e-bike, think about from the point where everything gets dug out of the ground to the point where you're riding your bike. I'm sure you're just great into environmentalism, but it takes tons of ore to get the little bit of stuff to make the battery for your bicycle. With these giant diesel machines, they have to pull all this stuff out of the ground, just destroying the earth, probably in China using slave labor in a lot of cases. So think about that as well. Now, if you can get someplace by riding your bike, my ride yesterday back and forth to work, 30K that way, 30K this way. It won't be very long before you can do that, or you can go even farther, all right? And you can do it at great speed, okay? But you're not doing anything for the environment if that's what you're concerned about. Yeah, you might get a car off the road. You might. But all of these e-bikes have a footprint on the earth, and it's ugly. Very, very ugly, okay? I think that's it for now. I don't think I have any more in here. No, that's all of them. There are a lot of comments, a lot of good comments, a lot of them in that same vein, and I really do appreciate it, all of your comments. But just remember that I don't want to ban bikes. I'm not interested in legislating bikes as much as educating people. I'm always about education, not legislation. I believe what Ronald Reagan said. The government that is best governs least. I believe that. You do not want the government to get the hooks into what you like. If it's an e-bike. And ladies and gentlemen, if the government can get their hooks in you, they will. And it will cost you in the long run. Maybe your freedom of where you can go, or how much it's costing you. When you buy the bike, you might have an extra tax on there because you're riding an e-bike in the future, and that is a possibility. You do not want that. Be safe out there. Think of people around you. Take off the headphones. Don't look at your phones, and don't go too fast. Anybody who's ridden a bicycle knows 35K on a bicycle at a regular clip is very fast. And if you look at the Tour de France, the average speed for the Tour de France, it's amazing. Over 40K an hour. That is pretty fast on a bicycle, and particularly when you're on a narrow bike path with trees and turns and all sorts of things in the way that you can get in front of and you can cause severe damage. Thanks so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're growing, getting up towards 2,000. And if you want to keep commenting on the original video about e-bikes, I'll put the link in the description, or maybe it'll pop up at the end of this video. But I do appreciate it again. See you next time on Cycling on a Shoestring.